Okay, good morning again. Welcome to another session of our AI class. Today, I would like to finish up the time series problem, which, as you know, it's quite a unique problem, and it requires a dedicated package called skTime, which you guys just install, and hopefully all of you had it working. Okay. So last time we kind of go over the general flow of how you would do, for example, time series forecasting, which is I guess a problem that comes up quite a lot in industrial engineer, like forecasting the price of something, forecasting demands, or even like forecasting the stocks if you want to do financial. So it's quite a popular problem for a lot of applications. Okay, and then what we end up. I think we end up here. Last time we go through something called exogenous, which is a way that you can input external data for your forecasting. For example, if you're forecasting the price of something, you might be interested in inputting other information such as the demands of your customers, or maybe something that's happening, like with exports. Usually the demand depending on the demand from other countries. So that kind of information is actually quite useful if it correlates to your the data that you want to forecast. So it's called exogenous. And then we discuss some of the intricacies of using exogenous. Namely, you don't want to you have to kind of do forecasting of your exogenous data in order to make sure you don't actually predict you don't know the future essentially. All right. I want to touch up another thing, which is something that you might be interested in. It's called multivariates. Okay. So in this example, I'm showing you that actually you can even forecasting two things at the same time. It's called multivariate. So more than one variable. Okay. So and this one we're going to use another data set called Longley data set. So let's just go through the example and you'll see that. The exact API is quite easy to do, but behind the scene, there's a lot of things that goes on. Okay, so I'm gonna go to. So we are at S04 multivariates, and then I'm gonna use the new files. Okay, so first I'm gonna import my libraries, and hopefully it works. Okay, I always have this dreaded feeling of when something doesn't work. Okay, so mine's working. It just takes time to load. Okay, so a couple notable things is that we are importing the new data sets called Longley. Well, you'll see what it is. And also we are using a new forecaster, which is called VAR. It's called Variation Autoregressive. This is for multivariate model. Essentially, you can output more than one things at the same time. Okay, so it's quite convenient. อันนี้เราต้องลง skTime ด้วยเคยลงหรือยังลองดูนะลอง run ถ้าเราไม่ได้บอกนะเดี๋ยวผมช่วยคุณแป๊บเดียว Okay. All right, I finished loading. So let's see the data, right? So this is going to be load Longley. Okay, and it's outputting two things. So I want to destructure. I don't want the first one, I don't care, but I want the second one, which is y. Okay, so that again, this thing is kind of specific to how the function was built, so you don't have to I guess you just have to look at the documentation, that's all. Okay, so I actually had some information in here, right? So it's the US macroeconomic variable from 1947 to 1962. That are known to be collinears, okay? And then this one has 6 series, which is the, like total employment, GDP, and a lot of things in the economic things. I don't know much about it, okay? So in here, if you look at Y, it's the Panda data frame, right? It has a lot. So normally you would have one column. Like before, we only have one column. And that's just one variable. So now we want to we want to forecast all of this. That's called multivariate problems. Okay. But we're just gonna make it a little more simpler so that we don't want to do, we're just gonna drop 3 columns in here because if you can do 2, you can always do 3 or 4 columns. Doesn't really matter, right? Just to make things simpler. So I'm gonna do y.drop, okay? Columns equal, and then I'm gonna drop the, maybe I'll just copy it. I don't wanna make mistakes, okay? So these are the column I wanna drop for now. But I mean, you can always, ignore this drop operations, and actually the code will run just fine, I think. Okay. So if I were to drop it right now, I'm only predicting forecasting 2 things. That's the point of this. Okay. I'll just do y.head. I have to overwrite this data y.head. Okay. So these are the data, right? So again, remember that in the time series, our Panda data frame is a little bit unique because the index is actually not just the row index, not just a number anymore. It becomes time, period. So these are the period of a year. So actually this index is actually meaningful to, and then this will be useful when you use the forecaster because it can kind of interpolate the index when you want to forecast into the future, okay? Well, I'm getting ahead of myself, okay? All right, so first, let's look at the data plot series. These are the function from the skTime library that's quite useful in plotting the time series. I'm going to do y equal, I'm actually going to do just one series, GNPDEFL, right? And then title, right, equal GNPDEFL, okay? Right, so that's the thing, okay? So, I think there's something with the GDP or something, right? And then let's do another one, GNP, okay? So plot series, I want to do another series, which is GNP, and then title equal GNP. So it looks similar, right? That's why it's called, this data are collinear. Collinear means that the data, it's almost, like a multiplicative of one another. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to go deep into like all of this forecasting stuff, because some collinear data can become dangerous, and usually it might be better if you just pick one, because the other it doesn't help, okay? All right, so I want to predict, these 2 data into the future simultaneously. And I cannot use the forecaster that I used last time because they only do one type of data. So this one, I'm going to do the VAR, the variational autoregressive, okay? So without going too much detail, let's use it, okay? Forecaster equal, forecaster with E, okay? Equal VAR, okay? That's it, okay? All right, and then I want to do, again, you can also specify how much time you want to predict into the future. That's called forecasting horizon. So I do FH equal 1, 2, and 3. If I do 1, 2, and 3, that means that I want to predict 3 points into the future. And because this one, each of the point actually belongs to 1 year, so that means I'm predicting 3 years into the future. So that's called forecasting horizon. So it depends on your period, right? Okay, so I want to put VAR, and I want to put the Y into it as the data to train. And then I want forecasting horizon to be equal to FH. So FH is forecasting horizon, okay? Oh, I have to fit, sorry, actually I'm not this one, all right? And then forecaster.fit, and then I'm going to do Y, and then FH equal FH. So again, this step, it's actually not the one that you want to do in terms of like the real testing, because we haven't really split the data, right? I just want to try it real quick, see if it works, right? So you can just input all the Y's in here, okay? Done. Very easy, right? Then Once you have the data, the model that is fit, right, it's kind of know how to go from now, right? We can predict the future. So forecaster.predict. As you can see that the API is similar to sklearn because it's designed that way. Okay, so and I want to predict something called y predict. Okay, all right, and you can see that y predict will have the value 3 years, right? That are like consecutive from the last year in our data. Because if I were to do y.tail, you can see that our data ends at 1962. So if you want to predict the 3 forecasting horizons, I would be 1963 to 66, right? So that's what it is. Okay, so in here you can see how easy it is to actually forecasting 2 things at the same time, like or can do multiple things at the same time. Okay, and if you want to see the whole thing, like you want to plot the prediction as well as the original data, you can just use the plot series in here. Okay, so I'm just copy because it's kind of a lot. Okay, right? So as you can see that there are 3 points that actually goes beyond it. So it's actually not that bad, right? As long as the data is not too noisy, I think just a simple VAR should work pretty well. And this is something that we use to also predict the exogenous data from last time, the same model. Okay, and if you want to see the GNP prediction or forecast, then that will be the one. Okay. Okay, the notable things that I did here is usually you don't put the forecasting horizon in the fit, right? Usually you just fit like this. And when you predict, you put the forecasting horizons in here. I think that's also possible to do something like this too. Okay, let me run that one more time just to make sure that's the case. Okay, so you have options. You can put the horizon during the fit, or you can put the horizon during the prediction. I think it will be the same thing. Yep, same thing. Okay, so I did a little different from what I did last time with the specification of the horizon. Okay, but if I want to do it as I did last time, I would do it with the prediction parts. Okay. Okay, so why don't you get your hands a little bit dirty with this? Can you predict more things? Because our original data, we have 5 columns, right? Can you predict maybe 5 things at the same time? Maybe can you modify the code so that you do 5 variables? Okay, so because right now we drop 3 columns here, right? Maybe you can just ignore this drop and see if you can predict all the data at the same time.ครับ รันไม่ได้เนาะโอเคทำไมมันไม่มีอะไรขึ้นเลยวะไหนอัปเดตสิน่าจะมาละตกใจถึงว่าไม่มา เมื่อกี้มันเหมือนต้องอัปเดตเนาะโอเคน่าจะเวิร์กแล้วครับโอเคครับ and see if you can predict, further into the future too. If you want to predict maybe like 10 years into the future, you can change your forecasting horizon accordingly. Do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then it will predict 10 years into the future. I mean, I guess 10 years into the past because it's already past, right? Okay, let me just wrap up. Okay, so first, if I want to drop, if I want to predict more columns, I simply just drop this one, right? I just ignore this column. That's it. Right, so if I run this one, I should be able to see 5 things that I want to predict in the future, right? And again, I mean, this is just plotting, so I can just keep plotting things, right? I come back here, I don't need to do anything. I just, actually, I'm done. I just drop one line, which is, just the input. So this is kind of nice about, like using, the Python library. Once you have your, Panda frame set up, then it's just a matter of just dropping one line. That's it, right? So and now I can predict, more things in the more information, right? And also I can, changing the horizon so that I can have, maybe 10 years into the future. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And then probably I need to change this one into FH, and just rerun again. So I got 10 years. So that's how easy it is to use the model, right? But then, I mean, I guess you want to dig a little bit deeper to understand, or to make some adjustment. That's when you gotta have to look into the VAR itself and see, what kind of things that you can adjust in terms of your parameters. Okay, so, but usually it works well, and mostly the way that I see it is that like this one works really well for exogenous data. As I tell you last time, you cannot predict, you have to forecast your exogenous data in order to predict what you want to forecast. So VAR is probably, the go-to choice for that. Okay, all right. So that's for the multivariate parts. Okay.